what the beautiful thing about this Bible is? And this is what makes it so amazing. People make it about skin tone, but guess what? It's some dark skinned people that think they Israel and they Hamites. And some in their spirit they might be. Read.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed.
So that's what that's called. That's called colonialism. So what happened was, when the white man came to America, what you're reading about right here is colonialism. Colonialism. Read that again.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land.
So he said he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land.
Bring it out.
So prime example, when the Spanish came, right, to the Americas, did they not take the cattle of the Hispanics and Native Americans? Did they not take the fruit of their land? They did that, right? So this Bible prophecy, that's called colonialism.
Bring it out!
And basic education. Everybody knows what colonialism is. Read.
Because they got fucking colonized.
Until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn.
So the white man came and took their corn. Read.
Wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or the flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates.
Now this is the beautiful thing. It said, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates. So prime example, have you ever heard of Montezuma? So Montezuma, right, was Northern Kingdom. Before the conquistadors came, guess what? He prayed and fasted to the Lord that what? That they would not be besieged. But what ended up happening was what? All the cities of the Aztecs and Mayans were besieged.
That's right.
They were besieged. That's what happened. They were overcome. They were overtaken. The same thing that happened to, guess what? Judah over there in where? Africa. When we were in Africa, we were besieged in our lands. When we had our own flags, when we had our own government, guess what they did?
Bring it out!
Our government. Sis, I have a question. I have a question. Isn't there still black people in Africa today? Don't they have flags over there? They have flags in the government over there? So they can't be Israelites then. They can't be Israelites then, because they got a flag in the government.
Bring it out!
They got a flag in the government in Nigeria. They got a flag in the government in Congo. So they can't be Israelites. If you listen to that logic, it makes no sense.
Bring it out! Bring it out!
It's hatred.
I ain't never said the Africans are our people, nigga.
It's hatred.
Read. Nigga.
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until the high and fixed walls come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land.
So what we read right here, sis, this is history. And what I want you to get the chance to do when you get your Bible, come to our website. Check out IsraelUnitedInChrist.com. Because, hey, the scriptures say, hey, blessed are ye when you are reviled for the name of the Lord. Because that's what we do. We teaching the Bible. You notice that?
That's right.
The Bible, but the Bible is controversial. Just like Christ was hated for what he taught, it's the same thing.
That's right.
Just like when Paul taught the Gentiles, they hated Paul. It's like, Paul, why are you teaching them Gentiles? That's the point, because we following the ministry of our fathers. We following the ministry of our fathers. That same ministry, right? Read.
Until the high and fixed walls come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, throughout all thy land which the Lord thy God hath given thee.
And that's the key. It said the land which the Lord hath given thee. So I got a question for you. Who were the Americas given to? Because God said, I'm going to besiege you in the land that was given to you. So who was America given to? Was it given to the white man? No, who was it given to? The Hispanics, the Native Americans. Was they not living here? Was that not the land that was given to them?
Right.
Didn't God just say the land that was given to you?
Bring it out.
Besiege you and take it from you? So let's see what God said will be living in America. Read.
2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 40.
Bring it out.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osei, the king who saw Manasseh.
So right now we're talking about the 10 tribes of Israel. The 10 tribes of Israel is going into the Hispanics, the Native Americans over here on this side. Right? Read.
The king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the the waters.
So they were enslaved by the Assyrians originally. I want you to follow me, okay? They were carried away over the water on slave ships, read.
And so came they into another land.
Which was Assyria, read.
But they took this counsel among themselves.
So guess what? God's saying the so-called Hispanics, Native Americans at this time, they made a council. They came together, they had a discussion, made a plan, read.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So stop. So guess what? They made a council and they said, listen, we're going to go to a part of the world where no one has ever lived before. We're going to go to a part of the world where no one has ever lived. Now when Columbus and the conquistadors come here, what do they call this place? The New World. Why did they call it the New World? Because they didn't even know it existed. That's why it was called the New World. Nobody knew it existed. Right? So God said the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans came to this land because nobody dwelt here. God gave it to them because nobody lived here.
That's right.
People that were living here lived here before nobody else lived here. You follow me? Read.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
And this is the crazy part. It says, and there, when they came to this land, they were going to keep the statutes and commandments that they didn't keep. Where? In Jerusalem. So that's why when you look at the Native Americans, for prime example, right? They have the same marriage ceremonies as us. They wear fringes with borders of blue.
That's right. That's right.
Right? They even had Hebrew tablets in their villages. The 10 Commandments written on gates and posts. This was documented by William Penn. William Penn, which founded Pennsylvania, Penn State, all of these places. He dwelt amongst the Native Americans, Aztecs, all of them, and documented their customs and saying these people are surely related to the Jews.
That's right.
Because of their customs. That's what you're reading right here. That's why the Aztecs, have you ever watched a movie called Apocalypto? You watched Apocalypto, right? And Apocalypto, what were the Aztecs doing?
How are they Israel?
They were doing sacrifices. Why were they doing sacrifices? Because they were keeping the sacrificial law. They just perverted it. They perverted the sacrificial law. They were trying to appease the wrath of God with blood sacrifice.
Bring it up.
Because they knew judgment had to come. How did they know that? Because they had Deuteronomy.
Right.
They had the book of Deuteronomy. They had the book of Leviticus. They had all these things. That's why Montezuma did that same thing we were talking about earlier, where he fasted, praying that the judgment would pass. But guess what? Just as it came to us, it had to come to them. Right. That same thing. So we're reading this where? Out the Bible. Read.
Bring it up.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
Read.
For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over.
So guess what? God held still the floods, meaning what? He calmed the sea so they could leave from where? Assyria, which is connected to Africa. Read.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
And they had a year and a half journey around the bottom of Africa and west to the land where they said nobody lives. Nobody lives. This is how Columbus knew where America was, because he read ESDRAS. And ESDRAS documented that there would be people living here.
Bring it up.
And Ezra said the people that will be living here are the 10 tribes of Israel.
That's right.
So the Mexicans descend from the Aztecs, which descend from the 10 tribes of Israel, which makes them what? Israelites.
That's
That's what
right.
I'm trying to show you. It's very simple.
Read.
And that same region is called Arsaris. Then dwelt they there unto the latter time.
And guess what? Guess what God said? Guess what God said? He said that same land where people never dwelt before, he said that the 10 tribes, they're going to be in that land until the latter time or the last days.
Right.
Wasn't we just talking about the last days? Aren't we in the last days now? So don't that mean the 10 tribes will still be here? So if that's the case, once again, all you have to ask them, the Bible says the 10 tribes will be living in Arsaris, which is the Americas. So who are the 10 tribes?
We all black.
Who are the 10 tribes? Just ask them. Who are the 10 tribes? They can't identify them. Read.
then dwelt they there until the latter time. And now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, and they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace.
And that's the point. That's the point. The Bible gives us a roadmap, sis. See, just like the Bible explains how we got here on cargo slave ships, and how the tribe of Judah was brought over here on slave ships, it also documents how the 10 tribes of Israel was already here. Was already here. So when you hear about Geronimo, when you hear about Sacagawea, when you hear about Montezuma, when you hear about the Incas, all of them, guess what? That is your kin. That is your family. You understand? They are all Israelites. Those are the Israelites right there. Right? One more thing. Hey, give me that. Hey, give me that about the pyramids. Because I'm asking you this: who built the pyramids, sis? Do you know who built the pyramids?
We built them for the Egyptians.
We built the pyramids, right?
Basic ass elementary questions and shit.
The 12 tribes of Israel. When you read about Egypt, we was enslaved in Egypt.
Basic ass doctrine.
And guess what? It wasn't just Judah that built the pyramids. It was the 12 tribes of Israel. So you notice that the Mexicans have pyramids. You notice that the Incans have pyramids. You notice they have pyramids in Puerto Rico, pyramids in North America. But the only people that had knowledge of how to do that was the Israelites. So let's read about that. Read.
First Maccabees 13, verse 28.
Read.
Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids.
So stop. So this is our forefathers in the Bible right here. This is the Maccabees. These were Israelites right here. So these Israelites did what? Read that part again.
Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids.
So guess what? Our forefathers had the knowledge to build pyramids. The white man even says it today. They said they can't even understand how the pyramids were built. They said it's such an impossible, they say it's so puzzling for modern day engineers, they say it must have been from an alien civilization. You want to know why they say it's alien? Because they can't replicate it.
That's right.
Because the only people that had understood the method of how to cut stones and what's it called? Dove-telling. It's called dove-telling. Right? The Israelites were the only ones that had knowledge of how to dovetail stones together to build pyramids. To build pyramids. That's why they keep replicating. Right? So, read that again.
Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother and his 4 brethren.
So the point is, we were the only ones that had knowledge to build the pyramids. So remember, God said what? The Israelites would be here where? In the Americas. If they are the same Israelites that was with us in Egypt, wouldn't they know how to build pyramids? Isn't that why there are pyramids here? Because they're the Israelites. That's the point, sis. It's so simple. It's like 2 + 2. It's easy. It's easy. All praise. Come on over, sis. Come on over. Right? Give me Titus 1. Give me Titus 1. Titus 1, and I want verse 14, I believe. It says the pure, all things pure. 14. Yeah, read that.
Titus chapter 1 and verse 15. Unto the pure, all things are pure.
So guess what, sis? Unto the pure, all things are pure. It's easy to be understood. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It's easy. Read.
But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving,
But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving, read,
is nothing pure.
you want to know what the nothing that is pure to them is? It's the Bible. When you defiled and unbelieving, the Bible becomes impure to you. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. Right? So what we were explaining, sis, is that the Hispanics, right now you said you're Puerto Rican. So according to the Bible, you come from the tribe of Ephraim.
That's right.
You come from the tribe of Ephraim. What we're explaining is that the blacks and Hispanics are the Israelites, which are God's chosen people. Right? Now, let me show you something. Go to Deuteronomy 28 real quick. Go to Deuteronomy 28. I want to show you something, sis. What's your name?
Shayla.
Shayla? Okay, nice to meet you. So, what a lot of people don't know, the Tainos, the indigenous Tainos of Puerto Rico, that they are actually Israelites. They are Israelites, God's chosen people, and that's what we're going through.
That's That's right.
Give me Deuteronomy 28, and I want verse 48 real quick.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48.
Bring it up.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy.
So sis, this right here is Moses talking to us. He's saying, listen, if we disobey God's commandments, we're going to be forced to serve our enemies, right? Now, I'm sure you are familiar with the history of the island of Puerto Rico, right? That the indigenous Tainos were what? Enslaved. They were enslaved originally, right? Read. So that's what the Bible's saying. So it says, I will cause you to serve your enemies, which in this case was who? The Spanish. The Spanish came. Read.
In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
And guess what? When it's talking about and in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, they still have plantations in Puerto Rico today that you can go see. They have the old plantations there where they have the Taino Indians enslaved for what? Food, hunger, water, all of those things. But yes, God said that's only going to happen to his people. That's what we're trying to get you to see, is that you're an Israelite. Right? The things the Bible's talking about happen to you.
Right.
And you only. Right? Read.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee.
So guess what? This is what happened to the Taino Indians of Puerto Rico. Right? They were enslaved. They put chains on their necks. They fed them to dogs, they burned them alive, and they forced them to worship the cross. And if you didn't worship white Jesus, which is this beast right here, guess what they would do? They would burn you alive. And they did that to many chieftains of the Taino Indians. But the Tainos, what you're finding out now, are the Israelites.
That's right.
Thought they was doing to savages, they are now finding out they did to the sons and daughters of God.
That's right.
And that's why the world is shocked. Because they enslaved the sons and daughters of God,
right.
The Israelites, right? So we read in what it says in the Bible. That happened to our people, right? Read.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from folk.
And guess what? God said, I sent them. Why? Because guess what? It goes back to us keeping the commandments. We wasn't keeping the commandments of God. So he said, I'm going to send a nation against you from far. A nation from the other side of the world, from a place called Europe. Read.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flyeth.
And guess what? When the Spanish came, they came with what is their symbol? The eagle. Every single civilization that is represented by the Caucasian race has what? An eagle. That's why when the British came and enslaved us, they came with what? The eagle. God said, who's going to come again? Read it again.
As swift as the eagle flyeth.
See, the Bible lets you know. When you see that eagle coming, this is the nation I prophesied will come and enslave you. Will come and enslave you for your disobedience. But guess what? It won't be forever. It won't be forever. Read.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
And guess what? It said a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Why? What language do y'all speak in Puerto Rico? You speak Spanish. Meaning what? Who conquered you? Spain.
That's right.
That's right.
Spain.
Bring it up.
The Taino Indians spoke Hebrew.
That's right.
That's what they spoke. That's why I said it's a nation whose tongue you would not understand. Because when they came over there, they brought Hebrew translators with them. Because they knew that the Israelites lived there. That's why Columbus got the approval to bring the ships and to put together what is it called? A garrison, an army to come here. Because he read it in the Bible. He read in the Bible that what? There would be people on this side of the world. That's why he got approved. That's why they brought Hebrew translators. That's why God said this nation, Spain, you will not understand what they're saying. But till this day, the proof that Spain enslaved you is what? You are speaking the language of your oppressor. A lot of the last names you have, you no longer have your indigenous last names. You got Romero, Gomez, Benavides, all of these different names. Those are not your names. Those are the names they enslaved you and beat and burned into your back. You understand? No. Watch, read.
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
And guess what? God said this people is so evil, they're going to kill the elderly and they're going to kill your children. Guess what? They would take our children and feed them to dogs. feed them to alligators, play putt-putt with them, newborn babies. You hear how evil that is? But God said what? All this is going to happen to who? His people, the Israelites. Nobody else on the earth went through what we went through. You can't compare everybody else to this.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.